I should be like you, Melvin.
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello to everyone who is listening on YouTube, on Instagram. Maybe you're listening a little bit later on Spotify, Apple Music, or sometimes even the best showers in hotel rooms across the country as well. Hope you are doing well. But I tell you what, let's get going. And it is a pleasure to be back on Cherry AM with my main man, Sean Ray. How you doing, Sean?
Yeah, not too bad. Enjoyed both games, the women's and the men's, to be honest. Men's especially more than I was expecting. But yeah, it's been my daughter's birthday on Saturday and that. So yeah, it's been a good weekend.
Oh, excellent. And a happy birthday to your daughter from us as well.
Oh, thank you.
I tell you what, let's go through the chat before we get stuck into what is quite a serious topic to start off with, but we'll go through some of the comments. So Malcolm Shiverton says, good morning, Craig, Sean, everyone in the chat, and anyone who happens to be listening in the shower. I'm not going to be able to live this one down, the shower. I tell you what, do you know what? It's so good. You can connect up via Bluetooth. You know, they've got like this little speaker in the shower. Whilst you're having your shower, you can listen to whatever is on your phone or your iPad as it was. So yeah, I was listening to Malcolm and Ollie in the shower the other day. I don't make any apologies for it. I wanted to find out the latest Cherries news whilst I got ready for my work meeting.
Yeah, my bathroom mirror actually can connect to my phone, so yeah, I could do it if I wanted.
See, this is what this is what I'm missing in my life. This is what I'm missing in my life. I need a bathroom mirror that you can actually play YouTube through. It's just quality. Malcolm, get yourself one, mate. I think it's a worthwhile investment. So when
It'll be a life changer.
when you're not on Cherry AM, or when you want a little bit of S Club 7 in the shower, you can listen to it. I'm sure you don't listen to S Club 7, Malcolm.
What, the classics?
What? Reach for the stars?
Yeah.
Dan Short has said, morning, Craig and Sean. What a weekend. Ringwood won 5-1, sorry. Cherries Ladies won 7-0, and of course a new signing soon in Doak. We're going to cover that as well in some detail. Liam Humby says, good morning everyone. Up the cherries, Liam.
Morning.
The owner of the first AFC Bournemouth home shirt this season. That is your tagline this year, Liam. Good day from Daz Cherry Down Under. Good day, Darren. I was going to say good morning, but it is good evening there. So good evening, Darren. Hope you're doing well, mate. Malcolm says good morning to Daz. Dan Shaw it's very overcast morning in Bournemouth, and I'm on my way to Swanage. It was a very good performance, I thought, from Bafodi and Petrovic. Still don't have a clue why Brooks was booked for. Interesting. Well, I tell you what, you can get involved in Cherry Slaps later on, which is Ollie's new show. There will be a link, so go join Ollie and the team as well that will be talking about that game in a lot more detail. We're not going to do so much on that. We are going to touch upon a very important subject from that game in just a moment. But yeah, Cherry Slaps is your place to go for all the reaction to that game, because I think it's best just to separate it into one. Would you agree, Sean?
Yeah, I say there's things like the ladies, few transfer things and that. So there's other
Yeah,
things to talk about anyway.
exactly. But yeah, hold your horses. We will discuss that later on in Cherry Slaps in Ollie's new show. Chris Hubble said, "Morning, Mal." Darren Hurst, "Morning, Malcolm, Dan, Liam, Sean, and Craig." And morning, Chris says, "Malcolm, it's a lovely community, this." Paul Santa said, "Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well, Paul. Good to see you, mate." Dan Short, "Currently myself sat upstairs on an open top of bus." There we go. There we are. He might come straight past my window in a second. So have a little look. You know, if you're coming from Bournemouth, have a look to the right. If you're coming from Poole, have a look to the left. And you might see Cherry AM in action whilst you're watching it on the bus. I think it would be difficult to spot, to be fair, but you know. Chris Hubble says, "How was your weekend, Mal?" I'm sure Malcolm will respond to that, and he does in just a moment. VAR says, "Dan Shaw, we wasn't late, was we?" Just
No,
look.
maybe a minute pushing it.
Oh, no, I don't even think we was a minute. I think, oh, 53 seconds, I think. 53 seconds. Oh, gotta let us off for that. Come on. Or is that a booking? Is that a yellow card? 53 seconds.
What's the old saying? To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is unacceptable. So
Yeah. Something like that, isn't there? Joe Davison, morning all. He says, "Good morning, Joe." Malcolm said, "Great, thanks, Chris. Loads of football. Yes, finally it's back." Chris Hubble has said, "Yep." I think that's to Malcolm. Um, the Dugout Football Channel, Doug Horn. Hope you're doing well, Doug. He said, "Good morning to all. Good morning, Doug. Good to see you here." And I'm hoping you do get a chance to join in Cherry Slaps later on, because you're a real asset, you know, to the Liverpool community. And I tell you what, your show is absolutely fantastic. So after this show, please go subscribe to the Dugout Football Channel, because Doug does a great job. Chris Hubble said, "Morning, Craig and Sean." Morning to
Mhm.
Doug, says Malcolm. Paul from Oz has said, "Overcast 8 degrees in Australia." It's still, you know, distraught. It still messes with my head that Australia can be 8 degrees Celsius. You know, it's, you know, on the In-Betweeners movie, you watched The Outback, didn't you? And you thought, well, at the end of the day, it's always bloody hot there, but it's not. Um, Doug says, "Morning to Malcolm." Nick Gillens says, "Good morning." Um, we're going to touch on that, Doug. That's a very good point. I am sorry for that Liverpool fan who abused Semenyo. He will be banned from life from Anfield and Football Stadium for that matter. He was arrested too. And Joe Davison has said, Dango in, Dangon." Yeah, I'm sure that's a pretty sore subject. Right, okay. Well, let's get into, you know, the first topic. And, you know, I just want to give my honest opinion and my frustration with, you know, this one football fan. And I say, you know, I express that it's one football fan. You know, it does not reflect on Liverpool Football Club at all, you know, with regards to what. And I watched something as well after, and somebody said, you know, and it was pundit. See, I'm trying to think of who it was, but they said about clubs starting to be deducted points for racism in the crowd. I don't think that's the right way to go, because this is one individual. why punish the many when it is one individual? But this one individual, needs educating. He needs to look deep inside himself. Antoine Semenyo is an absolutely lovely guy, and football, you know, footballers are human beings. And it was absolutely disgraceful to see that, it doesn't matter what color you are, whether you're white, black, or what you believe in or what your sexuality is in this day and age. This sort of thing should not be happening. And this supporter, you can't even call him a supporter. He's not even a supporter of Liverpool. He's not a supporter of anybody. He's a selfish human being, that only thinks of himself. Um, needs to be banned for life from Anfield, which Doug has mentioned there as well, but also from football. And I'm hoping that the book is completely thrown at him, because there is no place in modern society for anything like this. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah. Obviously it's not good. I mean, I say we still do the knee plenty of times and lots of different things. It's hard to believe that it still goes on. Liverpool, they handled it brilliantly. They straight away got on it. Brilliant by the ref as well, listening. And I say, as Semenyo said himself, in that it wasn't so much the um, person himself, and that he was so proud of how everyone rallied around him and supported him, and that really got through him. And obviously, then being able to score 2 goals, I'm sure that helps anyone, and that. But it's hard to believe. I mean, yeah, obviously it's wrong and all that, and you got to hear both sides. The only thing I'm wary of is that Liverpool fan was in the disabled section. Whether he had anything wrong with him, I don't know. Obviously, there's no room for racism of any kind in that.
Yeah.
But he wasn't disabled, so maybe he had something. But yeah, it's hard to believe that it still goes on. What they can do about it, I don't know. I think there's nothing else really you can do about it. You can only treat it in a professional manner, and I say the ref, the players, done a perfect example, really. If anyone ever needed a perfect example of how to handle it, the club and everyone done it. So,
And the fan was quickly ejected from Anfield. He was, arrested, as we've explained and Doug's explained as well there. Actually, what you've given there is, a very, very sensible take on this, because, you know, who knows what the circumstances was with regards to the fan. But education most definitely is needed,
yeah.
on that front. And this isn't us turning around and condoning what happened. We're completely, turning around and saying this should not happen in football. This should never be happening in football. But yeah, it's quite an it's an interesting take that you've given there, actually, because maybe education is the way forwards for the people like this.
Yeah, I say, whether he's disabled, whether he not, or that. I think the education thing is the only thing you can do. I would say taking the knee and all that kind of stuff, to me, just is pointless in that. But yeah, you can only teach about it and then hope it doesn't appear. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think when you've got 50, 60,000 people, chances are there is going to be one or so in the crowd, and that. So yeah, you just got to try to teach. And it's even people that do it, it makes no sense to me why they would do it. They know there's a good chance, especially if you're right at the front. Chances are you're going to get caught, especially if you're hurt anyway, which is their point. And then you're going to end up getting banned from at least, I say Liverpool fan from Liverpool. So why they would want to put themselves through that as well, it makes no sense why they would do it. So Yeah, you don't know the circumstances in that, but all you can say is that it's unacceptable, and that we deal with it in the right way, and that's what happened.
And
As I say, Semenyo's so strong that he straight away carried on and scored 2 goals. So, yeah.
and it's a credit to him, that he did carry on, and did brush it off is probably the wrong wording, and it's always difficult when we're discussing things like this because you want to make sure that all the wording is correct, but how he continued at such pace, and I guess I guess it did give him that impetus, it did give him that extra fire to go and have that really really good performance that he did do and score those 2 goals. But there is absolutely zero place in football for any discrimination of any type, be it racially, be it with regards to sexuality, be it with regards to religion or anything else. Football is a safe place for so many. And the fan, if, I guess, yes, with regards to, the disabled sections, with regards to whether or not there was something wrong, education is needed on that front, and if that came out as being, the possible issue, I think there would be a little bit more sympathy than somebody who is, completely able-minded. Well, to be honest, I'd be very, very worried about this fan anyway, walking the streets, because at the same time, Liverpool is a multicultural city, and at the same time, you've got somebody who's come out and said something stupid. If they are of sound mind, them walking the streets is quite frightening, to be perfectly honest, if that's the sort of, things that they believe in.
Yeah, I say, all you can do is just, it's not acceptable, and hope we do it the right way. So,
100%, 100%. You know, we've seen a couple of cases, of course, after the Euros as well, and I don't want to go too much into this, but there is idiots out there that think this sort of thing is acceptable. And I did years ago. Well, this is when I was at school. Did quite a bit of work with kick racism out of football, and the work that they did was absolutely brilliant. They're still going, I believe, but not on the most prominent. I don't think they're as prominent as they were at that time, which is a shame. Maybe we should bring it back, in its full prominence. It used to be across the perimeters of the pitch all the time. I don't think they actually paid for those advertising. It was things that clubs had to do, which I think was the right thing to do. But now I guess it's all because of sponsorship or something like that, why they don't do it. But I think, bringing it back and maybe expanding it to religious, hatred and also sexuality as well might be an even, have a bigger effect as well on the game. But, kick it out, with great organizations, hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't see any more of this season. I'm just going to quickly click through some of the comments, going off the serious subject, and we'll go on to something a bit more cheerful. Well, not really cheerful for you, to be honest, Sean, in a second. But Darren Hurst has said, bloody melting 41 degrees on Xmas Day. A roast dinner is not quite the same. Do you know what? I've always wanted to have a Christmas Day in the sun, but I don't know. Maybe it might just ruin it. Malcolm said, Doug, I thought the Liverpool players showed great respect towards Antoine. Well done to them all. Completely agree, Malcolm. It doesn't matter which team you play for. United against racism. Let's be honest. Liverpool got black players. We got black players. It doesn't matter. I don't see, a player's colour on the pitch. At the end of the day, they're a player who are playing for either Liverpool or AFC Bournemouth. That's how I see it, and that's how most people should see it. The Dugout Football Channel, Doug Horn said, yes, they were. Arne Slot was very good with Semenyo too. Yeah, fair play.
yeah, so I've seen it in different other games and that, where similar things happen, but it's probably the most professional example of how it's handled I've ever seen, though, by, I say, managers, players, staff, everyone.
It's what the bar needs to be. It
Mm.
possibly needs to be even higher when something like this happens. But yeah, I think that they handled it very, very well. Dan Short said they should name and shame him. Of course, it depends on the mitigating circumstances. Like Sean said, I do agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that, Sean. But if he is of sound mind and he is, capable for his own actions, why not? Why not? I'm sure it will come out if he is charged, which he bloody well should be. Um, he might even get the sack. Who would want a racist working for him? I agree completely. Semenyo is such a nice bloke. And again, yes, agree with that. Earlier, he was even joking with the Liverpool fans. Yeah, it's one bad apple. One bad apple,
Mm.
in thousands of fans, so got to say Anthony Taylor handled that situation very well. Alerted by Semenyo himself, then comes over, pauses the game, speaks to Slot and Iriola, and explains what happened. Well done, Anthony Taylor. Agree. Agree. Malcolm Shiverton has said spot on Doug. Anthony Taylor did everything right. A lot of officials get a bad rap, but there was nothing that you could say was bad by what Anthony Taylor did.
I mean,
Uh,
even the fact that Semenyo going to the ref, that's for future players, and that's set an example as well, even for them
yeah.
that gets abuse and that they shouldn't be afraid to go to the ref. Some might be afraid of that side of thing, and he's showing a good example there.
I tell you one thing as well that annoys me with modern football, and one thing that the FA are talking about bringing in is where only the captains can speak to the referee. In this sort of situation, no. If somebody has been racially abused or sexually abused or religiously abused, then what they should be able to do is go straight to that referee and say, look, this is the situation. It shouldn't have to go through somebody else. The FA have got it completely wrong. And if the FA are watching this, which I'm pretty sure they probably won't be, but if a message gets through to the FA from this, this situation is that should not happen. All players should have the ability to approach a referee during a game, regardless of what it's about, be it a bad decision, opinions should be able to be given by players on the pitch. If his disability was an issue, I'd expect it to be done before Friday. Yeah, that's a very possible one, Paul. You know, of course, we will find out in due course. But
Mm.
yeah, I hope the book's thrown at the person. I really do. Chris Hubble said that Liverpool fan should get banned from that game. I don't understand why he did it to Semenyo. I think he needs a bit more than just a ban for one game. I think he needs that season ticket taken off him. But then again, he could be anybody. Who knows what this guy is? He might not even support Liverpool. He might be a day tripper.
Mm.
Who knows? Who knows?
You,
But
I would just comment on the releasing the name thing. Yes, I do. In ideal world, yeah, you want to release the name, and so it's not so much abuse, but so he's targeted. I don't know the wording
held
right that,
accountable.
but
Held
yeah, accountable. That's
accountable.
the best
Yeah.
word. I was trying to think of the right word,
Yeah.
but the same as anything like this, or you've always got to think that though family, friends of his, and stuff like that shouldn't be affected. Quite often, if the names are released, family and friends can be affected. So
Mm,
people need to think with releasing his name. Yes, I do understand, and yeah, you do want his name released in that. But always got to think that usually, especially if it's something big and it goes on social media, it will affect more than him, and it will affect innocent people as well. So
yeah.
yeah, you got to find that right level and that with
Mm.
it as well. So yeah, just for what you said about releasing the name, I agree and disagree with that. So
Yeah, you're bringing across a very sensible argument, to be honest, Sean, with regards to this. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a very, very difficult one, but there is no room for this in football. Um, Malcolm said a very good point, and this is something I do agree with. In the women's Euros, the England team refused to take the knee as they said it wasn't working. isn't working. I agree with them. Malcolm, and Doug said it definitely isn't working. I agree, Malcolm. Do you know why it isn't working? I think it was overdone.
Yeah,
And I know this sounds awful because, and some people might turn around and say, "Well, you can't say that." The problem is if you do something so many times, it loses that effect. The effect was there at the very start. The effect was impactful, and then it happened for, was it a couple of seasons, and then it just slowly lost effect, and that's
yeah.
the
I think
biggest problem.
I'll say the meaning was there, but
Exactly.
I said that it's pointless now. It's become too not for right word again, not good with words. Too political kind of thing now. It's,
Mm,
I say, the original meaning in that has been lost where it's been going so long and stuff, and that's where I say education and that is the best way, especially at school and stuff like that. And what
agree.
happened, the way it was handled, I would say simply to a teacher, say any football teacher, and I say, watch this. This is how it should be
Mm.
handled. So yeah, education, but yeah, the knees and all that kind of stuff, too political and just lost the meaning of it.
And the meaning gets kind of hijacked by others as well. So
Mm,
yeah, I do agree with you on that, and I think as good as the idea is, and as good as the meaning is, I think yeah, it does make sense why the women's team didn't do that moving forwards. Just more education, more talking needs to happen. And I think, kick it out, like I say, a great organization. They're not as prominent nowadays as they used to be in the 90s. Maybe it's time for them to come back and every club be forced to give them a prominent position in the stadiums. Paul from Oz has said Bondi Beach is packed Xmas Day with Brits having Xmas food. Can be very hot. Yeah, as long as my roast dinner is very hot as well, that's the main thing. Just bring it onto a lighter subject. I thought we played great. What a fun game. Excited for the rest of the season. Yes, most definitely. Um, I did say to you and Matt that Semenyo would score. Yeah, you certainly did. Certainly did. And last comment on this topic as well, because it needs to be spoken about, but we are going to speak about other things as well today. Taking the knee didn't work no different than clapping on the driveway when nurses got a pay rise. I think the impact at first, again, that all the clapping for the nurses, kind of lost impact after the third time it happened. You do
mm.
things too often and it loses impact. If we come on to Cherry AM and we spoke about the same thing week in week, well, day in, day out, this show would lose impact. If we, this is why we've changed up our opposition preview shows because they were losing impact. Our raw reaction shows, again, you have to evolve, you have to change things, and there'll be a point when from the current setup we'll have to adapt again to something completely different because you have to keep evolving. And yeah, just taking the knee, it just lost its whole meaning. Like you say, it become political and it was hijacked by the wrong people.
I
And
think the biggest thing was that they was being, when they started being forced to take the knee and being discriminated if they didn't take the knee. I think that's where I had the biggest issue with it. The knee should have been an option in that, and if they didn't want to, they shouldn't have been put down for it. So it kind of done completely the opposite effect by the end.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But I tell you what, let's get on to something a little bit more cheerful now. But well, it's not really cheerful to be honest. This Dango Watara, your favourite,
Mm.
has completed a move to Brentford. He's there. He's holding that Brentford shirt. Um, I've seen a mixture of things. I've seen some Bournemouth fans gloating because they feel that, and in all honesty, I think that what Brentford have paid is too much, in all honesty. But they're gloating that Dango has one decent performance a season. which I think is rubbish. There's other fans as well that are saying, well, Brentford's going down. They've just sealed their own fate. Sean, you're a big fan of Dango. I really like Dango as well. Even though I'm probably more of a Semenyo fan than Dango fan. But what are Brentford getting? And, how can you dispel all those people that are saying and gloating that, they think that Brentford have signed a player that isn't going to do it?
Oh, I think that, I say, if you get Dango, you get an exciting player. I think that's the main way to describe him. At the early part of last season, yeah, he would be willing to take on players and that, but he'd often lose the ball. His crosses wasn't that brilliant. But the second half of the season, he started a click. He was able to get past players often in that, and his crossing, for me, arguably, was one of the best in the team. Especially by the end of the second half, he had a brilliant pre-season, and yeah, I think he's absolutely. He was a great team player. He can play left back, left wing. We had our best period in the Premier League when he was striker, so that says something. And I know some people say they paid too much and stuff like that, which obviously, yeah, maybe Dango tinted glasses. But when you think about it, was it trying to think of different players to compare him on? I done the Semenyo and Dango comparison, and I said the stats ain't miles different. Semenyo's got a higher ceiling and that, and if he takes his shots, which he has, I mean, you think Slanky went for 70 million. He had one good season. Um, but Semenyo, obviously, if he has a good season, if Slanky went for 70 million, I would say Semenyo should go for more. I mean, he's got a higher ceiling, so he could be our first £100 million player and that. But back to Dango, I say it wasn't that much of a difference. And if Dango, let's say, scores 15 goals or something like that this season, I mean, that's not far off what Solanke, and he went for 70 million. And then obviously so many of that. So I would say the price is about right. But which way he will go, we don't know. Obviously, I've got Dango tinted glasses, so I think he will do it. And I think they would have got a bargain. But he's got to keep that consistency. He's got to keep doing what he's doing. But as for him moving sideways, move stuff like that, yeah, I could say a sideways move. I don't think it's much of a progression. So I think it's probably more to do with maybe he's got family, friends more in London, stuff like that. He wanted first team football. So yeah, I don't know the player obviously personally. So
yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it as him moving Brentford because he thinks Brentford's a bigger club or stuff like that. It must be more of a personal kind of reason.
It was
And
interesting, actually. Just to jump in there, Keith Andrews actually on the Brentford website mentioned with regards to Dango and that he didn't expect him to become available. But, when he did become available, Keith Andrews took it. But it was more of, what he hinted at during that was that, Dango did want that regular game time. And this was something that was mentioned at the end of last season as well. Why Dango might have been dropped because Dango was looking and wanted to guarantee first team place. Do you see him getting that at Brentford? Because I think Brentford are in that situation where they've let Mbembo go. Wissa is going. Norgard has gone. Surely he's got to be a starter for Brentford. I know he didn't start this weekend. It was probably too early, but surely it has to be a case that Dango's gone there because Keith Andrews has offered him first team football. But it, what I don't understand is how any manager can offer that.
yeah, I mean, it's an awkward one. I mean, it could be also positional. Yeah, he can play as left back, but he knows that if there's injuries and being Bournemouth, we can easily get injuries. that he could be put into left back. Maybe he really doesn't like that. Whereas at Brentford, he knows that he's more chance of getting definite first team football. It's not guaranteed, but he's less chance of being put left back as well. So yeah, I think it's. I thought he's going to be a starter, to be honest. And that I put him as a starter in my team sheet. But yeah, I think it's the only explanation is a very personal thing why he's
Yeah,
moved in that. But I think Brentford have got a brilliant play. He's 24, I believe.
yeah.
So he's just starting to achieve his prime. And I say,
Mm.
if he carries on like he did the end of last season and pre-season and that, then I think they could end up getting a bargain. But right now, I would say the price is about right.
He is 24 in February, just to confirm. I'm just going to run through these comments because there's some really, really good comments that have been put up here. I will come back to yours in a second as well, Dan. Don't worry, I haven't forgot yet. But Paul Sant said, I honestly think Andoni didn't want him. I'm with you on that a little bit, but like Sean has said, he is a player who can play in several positions. It's a bit of a weird one, like Lord Rodney Trotter. Excellent. What a name that is. No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. I tell you what, I shan't subject you to my singing again, but I absolutely love that name, and I love Only Fools and Horses. I'm guessing your real name's not Rodney Trotter. If it is, that is brilliant, and you have to
Uh,
come on one of these shows. It was a strange sale, says
So
Lord
that's an
Rodney
idea for Cherry AM show. Do
Del
Cherry
Boy.
AM Extra Factor.
Yeah, I tell you what. Actually, talking about extra factor, we do have a star who finished second in one of those shows. Of course,
Oh,
there was Pop Stars Arrivals. There's Pop Idol, wasn't there? And there was X Factor. You'll have to find out who it is, but we got a special show and it's coming up tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled, and it's a really good interview as well. Dan Shaw, no, he wasn't playing. Signed too late. That is about Dango. Um, Malcolm has made a very good point here as well. When a player comes out wanting to explore new options, then he obviously wants to move. You can't expect the club to keep a player that has no desire to play for that club. Yeah, I think that's true.
yeah,
Um,
you always want to double your money on any player, regardless. I think it's like, for the club. Yeah, would we want to keep him? But overall, yeah, any player, if you sell him, you want to double your money, and you say it's going to be a good business regardless.
Paul from Oz says, I like Dango too, but was never worth more than Kirkes. I do agree with that with regards to relation to Kirkes' fee.
Yeah, Kirkus was sold for cheap.
Yeah. Darren Hurst, you never knew which Dango was putting on the boots from one game or even half to half of a game. I sincerely wish Dango well for the future. I think, yeah, this is one thing that I've always said about Dango is his consistency. But he's a player that I really do like. He's a really, really nice bloke, and I do wish him the best for the future. But maybe he just didn't feel settled here. Maybe he's all about game time. Who knows? The only person that knows is Dango. Unless Dango, if you're watching, you're more than welcome to come on for an interview. I'm sure, Sean, you'd like to be part of that, wouldn't you?
Oh, what gives you that idea?
Lord Rodney Trotter um, has said, I thought Dango was primed for a massive season this year. Yeah, I do. I do think so as well. And I'm going to try and do this in the voice of Boise as well. If anybody, you've watched Any Fools and Horses, Sean, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
actually watched it last week, to be fair.
Rodney has said he will play every game for Brentford more than likely.
Yeah.
That was a terrible impression of
Don't
John
quit your
Challenge.
day job. Just
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, God rest his soul. John Chalice, of course, passed away a couple of years back now, but yeah, what an actor. um Ray Ticket, of course, Paul from Oz. Why do I read out Ray Ticket and say, oh, yes, it's Paul from Oz? I should know by now. Remember Josh King signed for Everton. He was promised a lot, which allegedly he never got. Yes, completely agree. Completely agree.
Didn't he play,
Rodney,
though, didn't he? On the
he,
last
I
Everton game?
don't think he played very much, did he, for Everton? It was a
Oh,
waste
I
of
thought,
time,
I
really.
swear I saw one of the commentary games and I heard Josh King. I don't know which game it was. I thought it was Everton game.
Yeah, he played for Everton, didn't he? He went to Everton for a while. He
What's
did
he
play
doing
against
What's he doing right now?
Josh King.
Yeah.
Not very much, I don't think. I think he might even be out in Saudi, isn't he?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is in Saudi. He's playing for a team called Al Khajij. Who are
Oh,
they? Um, but yeah, he played 11 times for Everton, which means kind of indicates why you can't remember him. Malcolm said, "Sorry, Sean, but Dango's fee was too much." Yeah, I'm
yeah.
kind of with you on that.
We'll know at the end of the season.
Rodney has said Josh King was older, wasn't he? Closer to 30. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Sadly, my name is not Rodney Trotter, unfortunately. Do you know what? It would have been classic if it was. No, good to have you here, and thank you so much for contributing as well. And Paul Sands said the club did not really fight to keep him like they did with Zabania. Yeah, we'll come on to Zabania very quickly in a minute. It's good money for Dango. A lot of caveats here there though. However, can't let Semenyo go though for less than 100 million. Anything uh, Kudos can do, Semenyo can too. Yes, agree. And Tottenham fans are seeing the value of Kudos this season as well as Paulinho. Yes, most definitely. And there is another Josh King. No, but our Josh Kings at what's the club
Yeah,
name?
I thought I
Al
heard Josh
Kazim.
King in Everton all game.
I've never heard of them. They finished 11th in the Saudi Pro League last season. So yeah, he's done well since leaving AFC Bournemouth, hasn't he, Josh? He moaned about wanting to go, and then did very well. He's now ended up at the team 11th in the Saudi League. Well done, Josh. I tell you what, let's come on to one of your favourite subjects, though, which is the women's team. And of course, impressive. Tell us all about it, Sean.
Yeah, it was absolutely dominant. I mean, it looked like literally a Premier League team against a conference team. I missed the first 6 minutes. We did get an injury. It looked like quite a bad. I don't know, his wrist or arm because she had to go in a sling. I forgot to actually try to write that down who that was. So that wasn't a best start. But I don't remember the Billericay Town even having a shot at goal, let alone a shot on target. Whilst I was there, I can't check the stats on that, but I was after a while I started noticing that they didn't even have a shot. And the goals was quite spread out. Sophie scored 2, Jones scored 2, Thompson, Markham, and Clark all scored 1 as well. So the goals are nicely spread out,
Yeah.
but the main thing is it was absolutely dominant. The was it Quirk, the new signing in that?
Yes.
The score 2. She was in another league, even compared to the rest of the Bournemouth players. I mean, she was taking on players, and she was pretty much getting around them all the time. By the end of the game, anytime she got the ball, I swear they started sending about 3-4 players on her, and she was still getting around them most of the time and getting crosses in. Also, Thompson, I thought she done quite well as well. But yeah, they all done. But I also, for people that don't know the women's league and stuff like that, you can only play whatever team's in front of you, but you've got to be realistic.
Yeah.
So you've got to be realistic. Billericay Town, first of all, they don't get paid. As far as I know, they work for free. They're also a team that should have been relegated last season. I don't know whether it was someone that couldn't get promoted or relegated in that. they basically kept them in the league. They lost loads of their players as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to be realistic at the same time. Billericay Town, if they don't get relegated this season, it'll be extremely surprised with what
Mhm.
has happened. As they should have got relegated last season. But at the end of the day, you've seen Premier League teams go against League Two teams and lose. You can only play what's in front of you, and you have to do a professional job. And that's what Bournemouth did. They did an absolute professional job, completely controlled. Did not give. I don't think they even had a shot at goal. And yeah, the only issue as well, I didn't write down who got sent off. One of our players got a red card. I think it was around the 70th minute, 60,
Aaron
70th
Clark,
minute.
wasn't it? I think.
I can't remember for certain, but yeah, we got a red card. But then we
Yeah.
scored 2 quick goals after that. And I only glimpsed the challenge in the corner of my eye. I didn't see any more than a yellow card. And I don't know if I even saw any
Yeah.
card, to be honest. But yeah, it was an absolutely brilliant performance. It was nice and sunny. I think there's about 250 about in the ground, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And anyone that didn't come, I say you missed out on a brilliant game. Good fun.
Well, it looked like it, and of course Kelsey Bowers, of course Mrs. Senesi played as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
What do you make of her performance?
Yeah, so I put out Thompson and Quirk as the standout ones, but I
Mm,
say they all played brilliantly, and I say even if we had a Premier League against a League Two team, to say that they didn't have a single shot I could see a goal, that shows
mm,
how good the defence and the midfield all are. So
yeah.
yeah, and just so people aware, on Wednesday night, well, I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday night, 7:45 kickoff. We're going against Bournemouth Sports in the National League Cup.
Mm,
And if you like goals, then chances are there will be a lot of goals again for us. Because Bournemouth Sports are in the league below, and
yes.
um, yeah, I didn't check. I should check what the aggregate score was last season. But I think we done well against them, but we've much improved. So yeah, I think it'll be another good night on Wednesday.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, there's a lot of praise being sang for Sophie Quirk on the official website as well.
Mm.
Of course, Mrs. Senesi does come up. Also, Jenna Markham, Kenny Johnson, and Abby Jones. She got a double in literally 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, didn't she? And isn't she a defender?
Yeah, I say the goals are nicely spread out in that. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good sign for the future.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Well, all the very, very best to the ladies, and as they keep going from strength to strength. Of course, Steve Cuss won't be there, but I don't think Helen Bleasard, who is the interim manager, has done herself any harm at all. But I tell you what, let's go on to a few of the comments as well. And I'm just going to go on to here. There's a player I have my eye on. It's George's. Oh, I'm going to struggle to say that.
Oh God.
Mikatausi from Leon. What a player! And Evan Gessend. I really wanted Spurs to sign him before he went to Villa. Gessend is a beast, very similar to Kudus, but with an eye for a goal, more similar to Semenyo in that regard. That's what Lord Rodney Trotter says. Malcolm Chiverton says Fulham have an 18-year-old called Josh King. Yeah, he's doing a bit better than the current Josh King.
Oh yeah,
Arsenal
so it
King.
must be the Fulham game that I heard the name Josh King. I was like, what? Josh King is
Oh,
still playing?
no, he is playing in Saudi Arabia against some other team, from Saudi Arabia. 11th in the league last season. Um, Rodney Trotter has said, the one reason I can imagine Iriola has green light at the Dango sale is because he must have liked what he's seeing from Krupi in training. Or that kind of segues us nicely into Ben Doak, who is actually hinted has the player to replace him. He is a right winger. Of course, Semenyo can play on the left, as we well know. And I think Brooks can play on the left as well. But Ben Doak, who spent last season on loan at Middlesbrough, is meant to be in advanced talks, according to some sources. Sean, what do you make of this?
To be honest, I ain't seen him or anything like that. But I had a quick look at the stats. 19-year-old. He's played Scotland or levels and that. 3 games for Liverpool, 24 for Middlesbrough. Scored 3 goals for Middlesbrough. I think that's our style, to be honest. Regardless, I think there's rumours of it being about 20 million. And we done that with Scott, done Adams, and that. I think that's when you're a smaller club, that's what you have to do. Go into the Championship, especially look for little gems and stuff like that. And yeah, he seems to suit our style of going for the younger and that, and promising signs.
Definitely. And, he looks a really promising player. Scored 3 times for Middlesbrough last season. I'm sure that Iriola can really, help him. And he was long-listed for the BBC Young Sports Personality of the Year award in December 2023. So he has got quite a level of pedigree. I think it's going to be exciting. He did score his first goal for Liverpool in a friendly match against Leicester City in 2023. So, yeah, very, very exciting. And he started off his career at Dowry Rovers before going to Ayr and Celtic in the youth career. Celtic was where he made his mark, playing 2 games for them before going to Liverpool, and then of course Middlesbrough on loan last season. But based on probably what Liverpool are signing, he is surplus to requirements by slot up in the northwest. Malcolm Chiverson says, any news from Adli or from Leverkusen? We're going to talk about that actually. Ben Doak watched a YouTube of his highlights. Just wow, he'll be feared by any fullback. Yes, most definitely. Dango 3-minute interview on YouTube talking about Brentford and thanking people. He also mentioned his agent. Yeah, that's what it's all about. His agent's got the money, wants the money. That's what it was all about. And Paul Sant said, I think both clubs have agreed they won't let him leave yet until they find a replacement. So, yeah, I honestly think that, with regards to Ben Doak, he would be a good signing. But let's talk about Adli from Leverkusen. And if some reports are to be believed, Adli has already been to the Bayer Leverkusen ground and said his goodbyes to his side. How much truth is in that? Who knows? But this is going to be, quite an exciting signing for us again. And again, 25 years old, probably a little bit older. Moroccan international, did very, very, very well, over the past couple of years for Morocco. And of course, a team that got into the semi-finals of the World Cup, that's saying something. I think this is going to be exciting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we definitely want to get more players in. I think the biggest worry I've got, without going too much into the Liverpool game and that the biggest concern I've got is where our goals are going to come from. Evan Nilsson, as it wasn't good to me, is non-existent. So
yeah,
and obviously, my thing with Semenyo, that he needs to take his chances. So to be fair, he's taking his chances. But I was also thinking Dango would be there for another option. So yeah, hopefully we can get some attacking players in and that. And yeah, any signing is always good, especially with our injury record.
Yeah, 100%. But there we are. That is where we're up to, the state of play at the moment. Adli, it looks like he's coming in. Ben Doak looks like it's very possible. There's rumours that we're in an advanced stage for both of them. Will both of them be in time for Wolves? Who knows? But no doubt hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button. We will tell you first. And
Oh,
I did say that I wasn't going to forget. Dan Short has said Zaba started for PSG yesterday.
oh, that's good. That's a quality in that. So they got a good player there and that. So yeah, I hope he does well.
And Lord Rodney Trotter supposedly is in advanced stages, but again, it is sources. Until it comes from Mark McAdam's mouth, I wouldn't believe a thing. And shame it's not Rio Nick Go. I was struggling to say that. Somebody help me with the saying of that.
I'm not. Don't look at me for that.
Oh dear. Do you know
That's
what
all
I
right.
did with Zabani? I had to go to Mark McAdam and I said, how do you say it? And he explained it to me. And because I started calling him Zabarini, I turned him Italian. But
Yeah, so it takes me a while to learn names. So if Bournemouth could just sign simple names, it'll be a lot easier.
yeah, Ben Doak, I can cope with that. Malcolm Chiverton said, "Have a great day, everyone." Most definitely.
I was going to ask you. I know wasn't going to bring it up, but I thought just quick views on it. The 8-second rule in that. Can anyone say? It's a quick, very very quick quiz. Can someone say where the first corner was given for the 8-second rule? Which game was it? And what did you think of it? Did you notice it?
Wasn't it the Brentford game?
Nope.
No. Oh, go on.
A former player was in the game. Tottenham Burnley. So.
Oh, Solanke.
Yeah, I say it's the Tottenham Burnley game. The first corner was given for time wasting, but I didn't realise because even at the ladies' game, the ref started counting as well. So I thought it might have been just the top two, but it sounds like pretty much all the leagues are going to be having the whole 8-second rule.
I
thing.
don't get it. I don't get it. Chris Hubble said, "Have a great day, Jamal." I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Ben Doak was top talent for Liverpool's academy. Hopefully, he can relight his fire at Bournemouth. And Rio, remember the name. I'm going to remember that. It's difficult to say. I'm going to scribble it down and say, Mark, how do you say this?
Just say real, just real. We don't need to have this.
Paul from Ulster said, "Good show, gentlemen. Nice to see Lord Trotter turned out this morning as well." Yes, most definitely. And yeah, looking forward to having you back, Lord Rodney Trotter. Burnley, said Malcolm, and Rodney Trotter said, "I thought Jaden Dans was going to be the big talent out of Liverpool's academy, but injuries have derailed. But Rio looks like Raheem Sterling, but better. He came from Chelsea's academy. And most refs count Sean." There we are. Right, I think that's all there is time for. I better go do some work. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you again for joining me, Sean. And no doubt we'll catch up tomorrow, won't we?
Yep. I'm sure we'll find something to talk about.
yeah, we will do. We will do. Thanks, everybody,
Right.
and we'll see you
Up
tomorrow.
The
Up the cherries.
TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
I should be like you, Mel.